Hi, today we travel to Montgomery, Alabama for the National Memorial of Peace and Justice, Civil Rights Memorial and Vicinity, Riverwalk, and a book read. Montgomery, a town easy to love, remember, and admire. This capital town has a charm like no other. History rains down its streets like a black and white film. I end with a very special book read. But first, here is my list of what you must see when you are in Montgomery, Alabama. First, the National Memorial of Peace and Justice. It is free with informative guides to help you around. Carved into its walls is poetry. Arisen from the ashes underground are sculptures, or so it seems. Days earlier, we had read names of soldiers at USS Alabama and Fort Gaines who served during World War II and the Civil War. We had wondered if their descendants proudly visited to see the names shining through the plaques. When the same thought about families seeing their relatives' initials at this memorial crossed my mind, sadness boomed. Broken by state and country, engraved in columns are 4,400 names of those lynched. As you walk amongst the amber metal columns, regret folds and unfolds. Why were there so many names? Why did justice take so long? Number 2, downtown Montgomery. Take the easy stroll through downtown Montgomery next. We parked by the Civil Rights Memorial, our first stop. The cherry blossoms swayed overhead as we walked to the first White House of the Confederacy across the Alabama State Building. The trek to the Court Square fountain with sculptures and quotes from Rosa Parks also fits a meal like a lunch in one of the many restaurants here, like the Irish Pub. 2 blocks away, the Rosa Parks Museum offers tours ranging from 45 minutes and more with a movie. We bought Rosa Parks' biography book for the family and a picture book for my youngest. We then lumbered to Hank Williams' statue leading the footpath under the railway tracks to the Riverfront Park. Number 3, the Riverfront Park. Lastly, to soak in the historic tale of events that shaped America. Ponder over the sacrifices of Rosa Parks, who had to eventually move out of Montgomery to Detroit to find a job because she sparked and led revolutionary marches. I simmered under its weight at the Riverside Park. We spent our day well and headed back to Dauphin Island, where we had rented a beach house, just in time for another spectacular sunset. Montgomery shed light on how small I was despite having written the book House of Milk and Cheese on the state of race relations in America. My accomplishment was nothing compared to the true heroes who had to move, die, lose income to bring about equality. We have ways to go, but we are here because of them. Montgomery, well spent. Hi, so I am back to read the books, but this one I wanted to say there were 2 books we got from Montgomery. The Rebellious Life of Rosa Parks by Jean Theo Harris was one of them. But I am going to read a picture book which I wished I had much earlier, so my children had a much more diverse palette of picture books versus what is readily available in libraries. This was something I found in Montgomery. I Am Rosa Parks by Brad Meltzer. I am Rosa Parks. Growing up, I was small for my age. I was sick a lot since we didn't have money for a doctor. But that didn't mean I was weak. When I was 11, as I was walking home from school, a boy on roller skates came zipping by and shoved me. He thought I would be an easy target. To his surprise, I turned around and pushed him back. I knew fighting was wrong, but I didn't want him picking on me again. His mother saw what happened. She was mad that I had pushed him. But you know what made her even madder? I was black and her son was white. No question it was scary, but my mother and grandfather taught me to respect myself and to expect respect from others, so instead of backing down, I stood my ground and calmly but firmly explained I wasn't just standing up to that mom or even to the boy on roller skates. I was standing up for myself. After that, the boy and his mom never bothered me again. Still, it's hard to change things. Sometimes it can take a long time. Back then, if you were black, you were treated unfairly just because of the color of your skin. You weren't allowed to live in the same neighborhood as a white person, eat in the same restaurant, ride the same elevator, or use the same bathroom. You couldn't even drink from the same water fountain. One was marked for whites, one for coloreds. When I was little, I used to wonder if white water tasted different from colored water. I even wondered if colored water came in lots of colors. But it didn't. The only difference was I had to walk outside or even down the block to get to mine. Of course, it wasn't just about the water fountains. This was my school, a small wooden building with one room, one teacher for all of us. Everyone from 5-year-olds to the 6th graders were stuffed in that one room. There were no windows, desks, and barely any books. We also brought our books home every night because we were worried that folks who hated the color of our skin would burn down our school. Now here's the school for the kids who were white. Notice the difference? It was a new building with beautiful windows, new desks, plenty of books, plus a playground. Also, if you were black, you had to walk to school. If you were white, you got to take a bus. The worst part was when I would walk home with my brothers and the kids on the bus would throw trash at us. It made me feel horrible, but there were no civil rights back then. The only solution was to move off the road. And really, what kind of a solution is that? As I got older, things didn't change much. One winter, I was waiting for the local city bus. If you were black, you had to ride in the back. If you were white, you rode up front. On that day, back of the bus was packed. But there were plenty of seats in the front. I was just trying to find a place to sit. But as I entered to the front door of the bus, I tried to explain that there was no room to get in through the back. The driver didn't care. He wanted me off the bus. He grabbed me by my coat sleeve. I dropped my purse near the front door to pick it up. I sat in the front seat, a white seat, and made the driver madder. Get off my bus. That's what he called it, my bus, as if it were his bus. The bus wasn't his. It belonged to all of us. Still, that afternoon, the driver got his way. He kicked me off. But I promise you, that wasn't the last time I would face that bus driver. From there, in addition to working as a seamstress, I started working to change things. At the NAACP, we fought for fairer laws and made sure that people's stories were heard. I also stopped using the color fountains. I would rather go thirsty than be treated poorly. It was the same with separate elevators. Instead of riding them, I would take the stairs. But as for real change, even I didn't know what was coming. It was the end of a busy Thursday. I was 42 years old and on the bus going home. This time, I wasn't in the first row of the seats that were allowed for black people. There was one man next to me and 2 women across from me. It was the same driver from before, the exact same one from all those years earlier. At the 3rd stop, a few white people got on, filling the rest of the empty seats. There was one white person left standing, so the driver told those of us in my row, "Let me have those front seats." At first, none of us moved, but when he asked again, the other 3 people got up. I stayed right where I was. Sliding over to the window, I thought about what he was demanding. He wanted to take my seat away. He wanted to give it to that man. And why? Because I was black and the man was white. I knew what the rules said, but I also knew in my heart, that's not how you treat people. Without a doubt, the driver was mad. But I never lost my cool, never raised my voice. No. People say that the reason I refused to give up my seat was because I was tired. And I was. But it wasn't the kind of tired that came from aching feet. The only tired I was tired of giving in. Before me, there were other brave women who had refused to give up their seats still on that day. For violating the rules of Montgomery, Alabama, I got arrested, but by standing up for myself. I ignited a movement. From there, the Montgomery Bus Boycott began. For 381 days, that's well over a year, all blacks in the city and even a few whites refused to ride the public buses. Finally, the rules were changed. Public buses were no longer allowed to separate people based on the color of their skin. That was only the beginning. Eventually, we were allowed to drink from the same water fountains, ride the same elevators, and yes, go to the same schools. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote that we are created equal. Finally, the nation was starting to act like it. Of course, that didn't mean the fight was over. There were thousands of other people just like that bus driver. But after hearing how I didn't give up my seat, there were now thousands more people just like me, together, inspired, and committed to justice. In my life, people tried to knock me down, tried to make me feel less than I was. It teased me for being small, being black, being different, let me be clear. No one should be able to do that. But if they try, you must stay strong. Stand for what's right. Stand up for yourself, even if it means sitting down. When you do, others will follow. Rosa Parks. I'm not a politician or a president or an actor or a famous business owner. I'm just an ordinary person, but I'm also proof that there's no such thing as an ordinary person. I hope you'll always stand up for yourself, and I hope you will remember that we are all in this together. We need more books like this. Until next time, take care.